What is up, Cowboys Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Sons of the Star. I'm here again with my co-host and my father, Cowboy Reg. We are your favorite father and son duo of Cowboys fans out there in Cowboys Nation. What's going on, Cowboy Reg? How are you doing post Super Bowl, post 2023-2024 season? The NFL season is over. We are now in the dark ages of football. How you feeling?
That's it, man. Where I feel like I'm in the dark ages. It's a little depressing. It's a little lethargic feeling going through the week, knowing that this weekend we don't have any games to watch. Not just our Cowboys playing. We don't have any games to watch. No Pro Bowl, no playoffs. It's over. Opening day's a little bit away. I guess we just got a little NBA going on, maybe some college basketball, but it's tough to deal without football on the weekends. I tell you.
Yeah, this is like the worst time for all of sports because baseball's not starting yet. College basketball is going on, but it's really not. We're not in March Madness yet, so like, there's there's really unless you're a huge college basketball fan, like there's really nothing going on. Even if you are, like this is kind of the point of the season where you know, unless your team's making a push for the you know March Madness bracket, like it's kind of a dull time anyway. So this sucks. Um, I don't know what golf
It
tournament's
does.
on this weekend, but yeah, the Waste Management was no good last weekend because they stopped selling beer. I don't know if there's any golf fans out there, but that was a mess. Anyway, yeah, it's a tough time for sports. Sounds like you guys are gonna have to buckle down and actually spend time and talk to your families, which is pretty brutal. So no football this weekend. No football for a long time. I think we're about 7 months away from regular season NFL football
Yeah, I
because
guess
yeah,
our next big thing to look forward to football related is the draft show. The draft show is pretty intense. It's exciting. We can look forward to that. Free agency, things like that. But yeah, just being able to turn that TV on and watch a game, that's tough to realize that's not happening for, 6 months or so, 6 months till we get some preseason going or some mini camp,
yeah.
cooperative practices, something that we can watch. But hey, down
What
the hatch.
what happened there? Sorry, I lost you, Cowboy Reg. You might have cracked that too
I
hard.
just cracked the I just cracked the ranch water and threw the Wi-Fi out. Apparently,
Yeah. So powerful. What you got? Okay, Rancho, I'm rolling with the local Flying Llama Seltzer series. This is a craft local seltzer here in Biloxi, Mississippi. It's delicious. Strawberry basil, which is an interesting flavor, but it's weirdly good. That basil adds a nice little aftertaste to it, so it's good stuff. All
they
right,
go they
so
go good with the crayfish and the alligator bites down there.
yeah, hey, that is okay. So football season is over. Also, Mardi Gras season is over, so that's sad too. But it is officially crawfish season. So the South, especially down here uh, in the Cajun region of the South, I guess, right next to Louisiana on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, they're always celebrating something. So it's officially crawfish season. So there is something to look forward to. But what sucks about crawfish season is there's no football to watch while you're eating crawfish. So it's a weird time. Um, I wish those lined up, but they don't. And hey, next season, like I said, the Super Bowl is going to be in New Orleans. So I'm pretty excited. Maybe we'll get to
Right in your
if the
backyard.
yeah, if the Cowboys go, I mean, I don't think I'll be able to afford tickets, but I'll at least try to get to the city and go to a I don't know, we'll see. But that's a long ways away. So hey, we have some Twitter questions. There's some X questions to get into first. So Cowboy Reg put a feeler out there today, and we got a few questions from fans. So I'm going to start us off here with our buddy Josh J SAPSU. Big Steelers fan Josh asked, "Why does Mike Tomlin not get as much criticism as he should? Any other coach with his resume the last 7 years would be fired." What do you think about that, Cowboy Reg? We're kind of Mike Tomlin
Yeah,
fans, so we might
we're
have to.
Mike
We
Tomlin
might.
fans, but I see a lot of it's not quite to that extreme, but a lot of the same issues fans have with Jerry Jones. It's like, okay, you got those rings. That was a long time ago. What have you done for me lately? Well, you can't fire Jones, as I've discussed earlier on this podcast. He owns the place, but you could fire Mike Tomlin. And what keeps Mike Tomlin there is there's no rebuild. He always has his team in contention. So, yeah, they haven't done much in 7 years, but they're always there week 16, week 17, and then wild card round, divisional round. The Steelers are always there. And I respect that tremendously because I've seen our franchise go through so many, roller coaster rides and rebuilds. And the Steelers are there every year, and as long as they're competing and they're in the mix, and he's got rings on his resume, I don't see him going anywhere. I'm a fan. I kind of wish they would have fired him, and then maybe Jerry would have reached out and made that move on and let McCarthy go. We talked about that, but hey, that's all
Yeah.
right, Mike. I'm with you now. It's they're committed and I'm committed, but I have I'm a big Tomlin fan. I think he's done a great job, and like I said, the team's there every year. You can't say that they're 5-12. I mean, they're always in it. This year they had quarterback issues, they had injury issues, and where are they at the end of the year? They're in the playoffs. So yeah, that's why he's still there, Josh. He's a good coach.
Yeah,
That's why.
yeah, it's tough. Tomlin, it's man, it's interesting. He's almost like too good for his own good, if that makes any sense. Like he doesn't know how to have an off season, like a bad season. And what that team could really use is, like you said, like a 2-year rebuild where they finish towards
Yeah.
the bottom of the league. Like those seasons suck so bad, but they can be really important for your franchise because right now you're stuck in like that ugly middle. Um, but yeah, like you said, Tomlin is a very likable guy. His players like him. He doesn't hold back. He's a no bullshit kind of guy. He's a great coach. He motivates his guys. He gets the very most out of his team, like I said, to a fault, where he's right there every year. He's never had a losing season in 17 years as a head coach, which is absolutely insane. I
Unbelievable.
mean, that's
Insane.
unbelievable. That's unbelievable. I mean,
It's
he's a Hall
it's
of Fame
it's
coach.
it's Tom Landry.
He's a Hall of Fame
That's Tom
coach.
Landry stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what the number of years Landry had, but he had a similar streak, and that's that's how you keep your job for 20 years. You keep putting your team in the mix, and they just it's hard to fire a guy like that, and Steeler fans are frustrated for good reason because they're used to winning Super Bowls. They got
Yeah.
6 of them. So just like our franchise with 5, we're not accepting losing. We're not accepting getting to the playoffs. We only accept coming home with a ring. So I feel for the Steelers fans. We look at them like they probably look at us like, why are you trying to fire McCarthy? You're like 12-5, 3 years in a row. Why are you trying to fire McCarthy? Well, why are y'all trying to fire Tomlin? He hadn't had a losing season in 17 years. So hey, I proposed it earlier, and I'll put it up right now. If you're listening, let's trade Tomlin for McCarthy straight up.
Mm.
I'm good with that. Josh, let us know if you're good with that. If you're good with that, we'll start the push.
Yeah, and okay, so that's kinda going against Josh's point, but I wanna defend Josh here because a little bit because he does have a point here. So, looking at Tomlin's stats, like I said, 17 years as a head coach, 1 Super Bowl ring his 2nd year in. So after that,
Yeah,
you're thinking, "Holy crap, this guy's gonna take us to the promised land again and again and
yeah,
again." But like you said, that could be Cowher's leftovers, 2 years after he retires. There's a little bit to that, but still they earn that. Roethlisberger's in his prime, and then he goes to Super Bowl again in 2010, so 2 years later, and they lose. Um, but
to
since then, man,
McCarthy.
it's yeah. So since then, it's been pretty rough sailing when it comes to playoffs. So overall, an 8-10 record in the playoffs, and no Super Bowl appearances in going on 14 years now. So it's getting tough. And at the end of the day, it's like, do you want to continue to go 9-8, um,
Yeah,
or 10-6? I mean, he's had really good teams in 2017. He was 13-3, but do you want to continue to go there and lose in the playoffs, or eventually they're going to have to move on. So weirdly, I think a lot of people thought he was on the hot seat this year, but that wasn't the case. But I think in these next few years, he's going to actually have to do some damage in the playoffs, at least make like an AFC championship game, or they're probably going to move on from him because his offenses have been terrible and he's just been pretty mediocre. These teams have been mediocre since, like I said, 2017 when they went 13-3. 2020 they had that great run, that COVID year when they started like 8-0. But yeah, it's been rough sailing. They got to have some success in the playoffs, just like we do. So
Hey,
it's tough.
that if I recall, that was a Eagles 8-0. That was an 8-0,
Yeah,
but we all knew
pretty much.
they weren't that good. But yeah, I got nothing but respect for Tomlin. But I also, not to keep beating the dead horse, but I also compare it to Jerry. I love Jerry, but I think it's time for him to move on. And Steelers fans must be thinking the same thing.
You went muted. You got to unmute.
How's that?
You're frozen.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with my AirPods tonight, but it's throwing me on a couple times. I don't know if it's a connection issue, but we're rolling now, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. No problem. Yeah. So let's move on to the next question. We got a good question from when can I retire? Big Cleveland Browns fan here. So, as a Browns fan, I would like to know if the Cowboys and the Browns had to make a trade, how would you like it to go down? I think we have some disagreements here. I'm going to go first. I'm going to steal the thunder. I propose to the Cleveland Browns talking this out. I got to find the website I use because I want to give them a
Well,
shout out because it's an awesome
you
one.
got that mock, yeah, that mock trade you
Uh,
told me about today. You did not reveal the trade, though. I'm interested. You would reveal to me the details.
So it's fanspo.com is the website, and it allows you to actually sign free agents from your team and other teams and like work with your team's cap space. So we're going to be using this a lot in the off season. No free ads, but here's a free ads, Fanspo. I really like the app, and they don't make you pay like PFF does. Um, so I propose, and this is a legitimate trade because it's within the cap. So I'm going with Trey Lance and Micah Parsons for um so Trey Lance and Micah Parsons for Jeremiah Wusu-Koramoah and Nick Chubb. So I think
Whoa, whoa, yeah, wow, that threw me off. I didn't. Oh, yeah, okay, go
so I know
on.
you're giving away a lot with Parsons obviously, but hey, we know that coming down the road he's going to want the biggest contract in NFL history, and I think that's a bad move. Um we'll see how he performs in this Zimmer defense, but to me, his stats look great, but he's not been the game changer that, I think by trading a guy like Micah, it frees up a lot of space to put great team players. Not that Micah's not a team player, but you can add a lot of players for the same value that Micah has on his own. And, you let Cleveland try and run it, win a Super Bowl with like Miles Garrett and Parsons attacking
I
quarterbacks.
mean,
Like that would be
yeah,
dangerous.
that's. I bet you there's some Browns fans if they're listening thinking you lost your damn mind. Yeah, well, where do we sign? Because they will have a defense for the ages. They'll have an 85 Bears defense.
Yeah, I just
But
think,
yeah,
when
you make some sense there. I'll let you finish, but I'll tell you why I don't like it in the end. But it definitely caught my interest.
so Wusu Kormoa is a young guy, same age as Micah. He's been in the league 3 years. He's got, especially this year, he's got some great stats. Um, he's got 166 solo tackles in his 3 years, five forced fumbles, only five sacks, but he plays a true, middle or he plays a true linebacker position, unlike Micah does right now. Um, and he's played nine less games, and he's got more tackles and a couple picks. So Yeah, I like the guy. He's a Notre Dame grad, but he's a solid up and coming linebacker that has the potential to be one of the top linebackers in the league in the next few years. And then you get your all-star running back in Nick Chubb, which we don't have, and we need a running game. So I think it works good for both teams. I don't think Micah is going to be able to sign, his a big contract with the Browns. Maybe he does, but I'm already talking about this like it could actually happen. But and then you give them Trey Lance, which is like there's you finally have a franchise quarterback potentially or a young quarterback. He's such a low cap hit that if he doesn't work out, like so be it. But you have the potential to have a young quarterback. God knows the Browns can't draft a quarterback, so you're going to have to trade for a young guy because if he gets drafted by the Browns, he's done. Like he'll never turn out. So yeah, I think it benefits both teams. I think it's a good move for the Cowboys. I think you get an all-star running back and potentially down the road a uh, a fantastic linebacker, and you can sign all the free agents you want um, to get all the core of your defense back without Micah and without the drama. So what you got, Cowboy Rich?
I can't wait. No, no, I'm not going with that trade. And I'll tell you why. Nick Chubb is Tony Pollard. We just had a running back come off a season-ending injury. It took him 11 games to get
Mm,
rolling this year, and it was not. I mean, you look at our season and how far out we were, and how we had to make that end of season push to get to that division championship. Um, I don't want to do that again. I don't want to bring Chubb in off that injury. We don't know what speed he's going to be at, and then we're just turning our wheels again. And my biggest argument isn't about losing Micah, because I agree with you. Micah's going to want money that we've never seen before. He's going to want amount of money that quarterback money. That's franchise money. And a lot of people don't understand the salary cap and then just say, what are you guys talking about trading Micah? Well, you got a budget, man. You got $100 to spend and you got to go grocery shopping, and you got $99 worth of stuff, and there's a $20 item that you want. You can't get it, man. You can't get it.
yeah.
So when we spend that money on Micah, we're in trouble. But a year from now, I'm looking at that trade. But right now, there's two problems, and one is Nick Chubb's injury, and the other is Trey Lance. That's a problem. I don't want to let Trey Lance go. I want to see what he's got in the preseason. You give me these preseason games, he starts them all. We know what Cooper can do. We know what Dak can do. Trey Lance starts all the preseason games. Let's see what he can do. If he lights it up, all right, maybe he's the new backup. Maybe he gets a chance to run some plays. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's the guy to take over for Dak next year. If he doesn't light it up, if he plays average or below average, then you throw him on the trading block. That's my answer to that. I'm not ready for that trade yet. A year from now, let's see if Chubb recovers from the injury. A year from now, I would be ready for that trade. And I don't think that's an all-in trade, because you don't know what you got with Chubb's injury, and you don't know what you can do without Micah. So I don't know if that's an all-in trade. I don't know if the Cowboys would even consider it this year. Next year, that's a different story.
Yeah, I just evaluated a lot of the different options, and I don't know who else you want from the Browns. I mean, you're not trying to get a Amari Cooper back. David Njoku's a great tight
I
end, but
want
I don't
Miles
think.
Garrett. I want Miles Garrett.
Oh, they're
I
not getting.
will
I mean,
give
they're not
you
getting rid.
our number one pick last year, Mozzie Smith, straight up for Miles Garrett. And
Yeah,
I'm gonna throw in a bag of Doritos and a six-pack of Dr. Pepper, and we're gonna send Mozzie. He needs it. He needs to eat some Doritos. He's got skinny. He needs to drink some Dr. Pepper. We'll send him to Cleveland with those supplies. You put Miles on the bus, send him back over, or send him over to Dallas. We're good. Even Steven, baby. You got Mozzie. We got you.
yeah, there's that's just unrealistic. Well, what is your what? So what is your trade? What do you got?
It's my trade, man. Mozzie.
Mozzie
I
for
I
Miles
don't
Garrett.
I yeah, I don't have. I mean, they probably want us to take Deshaun Watson off their hands for Dak. That ain't gonna happen.
No,
Y'all can
yeah.
keep Deshaun. Um, you got some studs on the defense, man, and I don't know what how's their center. Maybe I would look at, hey, we need a center. Maybe we could do something with the center. We got some aging linemen. maybe we offer up one of our linemen if they've got a stud center,
Yeah.
because that's a need for us. We need a linebacker, we need a center, we need running back. So you looked at linebacker and running back, I would say let's look at their center. I don't know. They ran a great offense, with Joe Flacco. I assume he's good, but I am not up to date on all the Browns players. I do try to follow. I got a couple good friends and a relative in the family who's Browns fans. I like to follow them a little bit more than I do the average team, but I can't go down the line and name all their positional players like I could with our team. So you tell me if their center's a stud, maybe we can work something out there. I don't see messing with Chubb though. It's all happened to Pollard this year. I don't want to do that
Yeah,
again.
but Chubb's like 2 times the running back that Tony Pollard ever was, so, I mean,
I saw did you see the injury? I'm
he's
surprised
got 5 1,000-yard seasons. Yeah, I mean, but modern
I
science.
not.
5
Yeah,
1,000-yard
man.
seasons, so
I need to see
at
it
least
play
he
out a year from now. A year from now, we talk about that trade, but not this year.
the
We got
difference is that Chubb got hurt very early in the year, I think in game 3, so,
yeah,
like, he's got a
yeah,
year and a half to recover. So,
yeah,
well,
yeah.
no,
He
not a year
and
and a half, sorry, but a full year.
yeah, the broken bone that Pollard had. Just like Dak, you have a broken bone, you can heal up, and they say the bone can even be stronger, and that gave him trouble. But did not correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't Chubb have a two knee injuries in one
Yeah,
shot? Wasn't it? Yeah.
yeah,
So I mean, it's it's just you can't compare those two injuries perfectly, but you can say I don't like the knee injury as much as I like the broken ankle. I think you come back from the broken ankle, and he didn't. I mean, he did by the end of the year, and that's another thing for Pollard is, we I don't think we're going to be able to get him back at a bargain because he did. If you look at his last 5 or 6 games, he was playing at the level he was playing last year. So his agent is going to be pointing that out when it comes to negotiation time. I think we've seen the last game with Tony Pollard in our backfield. That's my guess.
yeah, I'd agree. He just doesn't have the explosiveness that he's had in the past, and you can just get guys for you can get guys that can put up his numbers for
Right.
less money. The thing that's always been great about Pollard is his home run, hitting ability to break off those super long runs. That's something he didn't do all year. So that's what's scary
Didn't
is
do it.
like if he's
I can't think of any one run he had this year where it's like, oh, he's gone.
yep.
When it looked like he got tackled. Man, I'll never get over that play at Philly where he just gets stood up at the half-yard line. It's like, man, he just wasn't the guy he was in years past. But if you look at his stats, I looked at him the other day, and the last 5 or 6 games, his average, his yards per carry, yards per game, all those averages had gone up. He had some longer runs. He had some yards after contact, which he was really good at last year. He was over 3 point yards after contact, and this year it was under 2. But the last 5 or 6 weeks, he was back up in the threes, and he was back up. He averaged 4 yards a carry this year, over 5 last year. But at the end of the year, I think he last 5 or 6 games, he was more at the 4.7, 4.8. So I think he's getting back to where he was. I think that's the injury, and that's what I'm saying about Chubb. I don't want to go through that again. Blame it on Tony Pollard, but I deny your trade.
All right, cool. Well, we got to move on. We spent a little too much time on that, but that was a great question. I love doing that stuff, and we have plenty of off season to do that, and we're going to utilize a lot of those tools. And even if we have to pay a couple months for PFF, because I want to do some mock drafts and mock trades and mock free agent signings over the off season. So tune in for that. Thank you for your questions, everybody. We're going to move on from Twitter questions and talk about the Super Bowl. So that's what happened on Sunday. Um, I believe is this the long yeah, I mean, it was the longest Super Bowl ever, right? Game-wise?
Yeah, we had an overtime game, but I believe it was one score, one and done game.
Yeah.
And this was our first. where both teams scored in overtime. Great game, man.
Yes.
I enjoyed it. That made it great to go in overtime when your team's not playing. There's no pressure. We talked about that last week. I love the game. Let's break it down. I loved it. I had a great time watching that game.
Yeah, so Kansas City obviously, defeated the San Francisco 49ers 25-22. San Fran looked great early. Kansas City, really sputtered on offense, and they took a 10-0 lead, at which point your boy Dallas places a money line bet on Kansas City because I knew they were coming back
Smart move.
and
Smart move.
made some cash money. Um, but right before halftime, Harrison Butker, puts in a 28-yard field goal, makes it 10-3 going to halftime, and um, Kansas City just starts slowly creeping back. Their defense really shows up. Um, they get another 57-yard field goal. Harrison Butker kicks the longest field goal in Super Bowl history. So great game for kickers because Jake Moody set the record, and then 30 seconds later, Butker set it. And then the Chiefs went up 13-10. Um, and then in the fourth, San Francisco goes up 16-13, but a huge miss extra point there to keep it a 3-point game. And then Kansas City ties it up. Um, San Francisco has a chance to kind of potentially win the game, but they're only able to kick a field goal and make it 19-16. Of course, Kansas City marches down the field, has the potential to win the game, but they ended up kicking a field goal with 3 seconds left to put it into overtime, 19-19. San Francisco gets the ball, drives down the field, and isn't able to score. They go up 22-19, and Patrick Mahomes does his thing, marches his team down the field to win the Super Bowl on a walk-off touchdown, 25-22. The Chiefs win. They win their third Super Bowl, and they have won 2 in a row now. Um, so yeah, like you said, Cowboy Red, you liked the game. I thought it was a good game as well. A little boring, I thought, in the first half. Just very two offenses that really weren't able to do anything um, until San Francisco finally had that trick play pass from Christian McCaffrey. But yeah, I didn't think it was very entertaining at the start, but it ended up being a great finish. And I thought both teams played pretty well. What are your thoughts overall?
First of all, just kind of great recap, by the way. Kind of brought everything back. I've watched the game twice now, and that was a good summary. But my first thought is
Thank you.
if he makes that if he makes that extra point, Kansas City wins in regulation. Kansas City's calling plays at the end of the game to leave no time left on clock and kick the field goal and put in overtime. That's what their game plan was. If they're down four, we've seen them do it in Buffalo last year. What was it, 31 seconds, something like that, 30, 32 seconds
Yeah,
in last year. And that's all Mahomes needs. So I'm not going to blame their loss on the extra point at all. In fact, the extra point saved them. They were then able to go into overtime. But I had little doubt. I mean, we were 100% right last week. We called Kansas City straight up. We weren't worried about the points at all. Kansas City would win straight up. We thought, I remember at least I thought, and I thought you agreed it would be around 6 points, very close to
yeah,
that. Um,
yeah. I was a little more
and
confident.
yeah, we also, was the over under 47.5 at kickoff because that's what it was for a while, and we called under. Is that what it ended up being? 47.5.
It opened at
If
46
so,
and a half. It opened at 46 and a half, but I'm pretty sure it was definitely above 47 when we recorded. So it moved a little bit to, I think, like you said, I'm almost positive it was 47 and a half and ended up at 47. So
yeah, and that's what the game ended up. So we called it. We called KC. We called them straight up, and we called under. So maybe that was the over under was a push. Well, apparently, neither one of us bet on that, but
no,
we uh we
I
kind
did.
of
I had
I
that in a prop bet, but it didn't. I had the under in a
yeah
prop bet, but it didn't hit. So I had some other stuff in there. But
okay,
anyway,
yeah. I mean, it was about. I mean, it was under in regulation. Put it that way. It was well under in regulation. So you
yeah,
know one of the things about when you're betting, it's like when you're playing roulette, it's not going to always be red or black. There's a couple green on there. Well, sometimes the game goes in overtime and all of a sudden guys are getting more yards, they're getting more points and everything
Yeah.
else that you bet on, you might kind of get screwed in a way. Great Super Bowl. Halftime show was okay. I mean, I haven't been that impressed with halftime shows anyways. I'm a football fan, but it didn't bother me. I thought the halftime show was okay. We were having trouble with our stream on YouTube TV. So YouTube TV, if you want to sponsor us, I'll edit this out.
Really?
But
Yeah, you know what? I did have a
could
couple
yeah.
stops, and
So I mean,
it seems like
I
every
should have
big
reached
game.
out. Yeah, I should have reached out and told you I found the solution. You flip it over to Nickelodeon, and I watched the game on
Oh.
Nickelodeon from the first quarter on, and we had HD. You're watching the same game, and the announcers they had were great network announcers. And then they had our boys SpongeBob and Patrick over in the other corner that were kind of cracking jokes on whatever the announcers said. The announcers were legit though. They were legit announcers. They worked for the network. And then they threw our boys in the corner. They slimed the refs a few times, and I'm down with that. So um, I'll tell you what, if the Cowboys aren't in the Super Bowl, I might be on Nickelodeon next year too. Get my HD so I can see the game, laugh at my boy Patrick a few times, and the announcers were great. I should look up the names of those guys that did it. They did a good job, and they were legit. They weren't talking little kid stuff. They were talking real football, and
I did
they let
notice that. I
SpongeBob and
flipped it.
Patrick do that. Yeah,
Yeah, I thought they did a good job, and I did do that too, and I noticed that they weren't like, I thought at first it was just SpongeBob and Patrick's calling the whole game.
no,
I was like, I don't think I could put up with that,
yeah.
but then I switched it over
There's
and it
you
was
couldn't take
yeah.
much of that.
Yeah, it was legit. I thought it was good, but I mean, I'm gonna catch some flack for this, but I like listening to Tony Romo call games. I think he does a good job. So, um,
Yeah.
I enjoy the CBS broadcast with Jim Nance and Tony Romo. So,
Yeah, it's
um,
just for me, it was a HD thing.
yeah,
I got the big screen TV and I got the HD, and then I'm watching the game and it's all fuzzy and it froze up a
yeah,
couple times. And one of the issues with streaming is when the whole lot of millions of people get on the same channel. I think there's an issue because that issue was immediately solved when I turned the channel to another broadcast. So I hope they figure that out by next year, whatever network has it next year. It's probably not CBS, probably somebody else next year. So we'll see.
it'll be Jason Garrett and NBC. Probably, I think NBC's got next year. There's no way Jason Garrett calls a Super Bowl game though. Oh my God, imagine the Cowboys playing in a Super Bowl and Jason Garrett calling the game. I think my head would explode. I would have to go to the game then. I couldn't watch it on TV. I'd
Yeah,
have to
you
s
you that
I'd have to
you
spend
have
the
to
10
go. So
grand
you
on a ticket.
well, Hey, that's one instance where if SpongeBob and Patrick are calling the game straight up, I'll go to them over Garrett. He's a bigger clown than Patrick.
Oh, man, that has meant no love for Jason Garrett. Yeah, so yeah, like you said, it was a good game. So some interesting takeaways from this game, right? First of all, we got a lot of people talking about Patrick Mahomes being the potential GOAT. So I want to hear your thoughts on this. Does Mahomes have any chance of replacing Tom Brady in GOAT status, or is that just recency bias nonsense?
I mean, two things about the GOAT argument is one, he's not the GOAT until he retires. We cannot continue to look. I mean, we made this mistake with LeBron James. We were looking at him at a younger LeBron James. And then now that he's gotten older and people have seen the entire body of work, most people agree Michael is still the GOAT. Well, we got to look at Mahomes the same way. He has a potential to win more
Mhm.
Super Bowls than Brady. He has a potential to win more Super Bowls than Montana. But right now he's in the argument with Aikman, and Aikman sent out a tweet in 2019 that recirculated this week. Basically he said something like, "Call me when he has 3 Super Bowls. Stop talking about comparing him to me. Call me when he has three Super. Well, now he's got it. So people are
Yeah.
bringing that back to shame Aikman, but I don't think that they understand the context was just like the context is now. Is he the GOAT? That's insulting to Tom Brady. That's
Yeah.
insulting to Joe Montana. Joe Montana's 4-0 in Super Bowls, 4-0. That right there has never been done but by him.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
when Brady got his seventh, then I said, man, that's three more than Montana. I'm going to go ahead and say he's the GOAT. And the other thing Brady did was he won it at two franchises. When Montana left San Francisco and he went to Kansas City, he put them as in the playoffs immediately as contenders, but he did not win that ring there. If he would have won the ring in Kansas City, you could say he's the GOAT. If he was 5-0 in Super Bowls and he won at two franchises, he's the GOAT. But for me, it's Brady. It's not even close. He's got two franchises that he's taken to Super Bowls, and he's got seven. Seven. I mean, you can't compare 3 to 7. I mean, yeah. It's like talking to an Eagles fan. One is more than five. It's the same concept. Let it play out. In the Eagles' case, it'll take about 150 to 160 more years for them to catch up to us if we just stop playing at all. But Mahomes has an opportunity in the next 5 or 6 years to catch Brady. I don't know how they're doing it with the amount of money they've locked up into him. Andy Reid, eh, and I don't know if it's just Andy Reid. I think it's who Andy Reid hires and who he puts in certain positions to make things work, who he's got in leadership positions make things work. He's a genius when it comes to that. He's getting up there long in the tooth, man. He's getting up there. Is he gonna be around for Mahomes' whole career? Probably not.
No.
So there's a
No. I
lot there's a lot left to be told, and I'm not putting him as the GOAT. I'll put him in the conversation. You're in the conversation just like Bradshaw, Aikman, and whoever
Yeah.
else has won three. Um, I don't know off the top of my head. Elway, I think, has got two. Manning's just got two, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Manning's
So
got
he's up there. Yeah.
Manning's,
Not a lot of guys have gotten
yeah,
past two. So
yeah. And coincidentally, him and Aikman both did it before the age of 30. They got their third Super Bowl. So I look at Kansas City, and I hope if you're a Chiefs fan, I hope for your sake this doesn't happen. You're sitting in the same boat we were in '96. You got your third Super Bowl in 4 years, just like we did in '96. You got a quarterback under age of 30, just like we did in '96. You think nothing can go wrong. And here we are 29 years later. So, Chiefs
but your
fans,
core
I'm not
your
rooting.
core is getting old.
I'm yeah, I'm
Like
not
you're
I'm not
like
rooting against you, but it's tough to keep going, and people jump the gun naming him the GOAT already because this might be it. He might just retire with three like our boy Troy did. And that's
yeah,
okay. That makes
yeah.
you one of the greatest of all time, but not everybody can get seven. We'll see. We'll see. I'm a Mahomes fan, you know that. So we'll see. I would say if I had to bet on it, he's not getting seven. I mean, that just doesn't. There's only one guy that's done it. There's a reason why. It just doesn't come easy.
Yeah, I'm gonna help you out with this one. He's not gonna do it. He's not the GOAT, and he's not gonna be the GOAT. I think it's as simple as that. And no disrespect to Pat Mahomes, but I mean, I'm just at first I'm like, okay, well, he's gonna be able to catch Brady on some of these stats, maybe. He is 28 though, so I mean, is he gonna play till 40? I guess he could, but that's a lot. Like that's a lot to assume right there that he's gonna play 12 more years in the NFL. But let's just take a quick look. I care more about facts than anyone's feelings, so I'm just gonna read you the facts and whatever your feelings, you know, whatever your feelings you have afterwards, that's on you. Um, First of all, there's a stat that will never go away. Brady's 2-0 against Mahomes in the playoffs, and he beat him above the age of 40 head to head in a Super Bowl. So that's going to be tough to ever get past. So you can't do that. Let's see. Brady's got six 6,000 more passing yards than Mahomes currently does. So Mahomes needs 6,000 more passing yards in his career. That's not easy to
That's
do.
like 2 years, man. 6,000? Oh, are you talking about playoff yards or career yards? He can get two or three
No, I'm
thousand a
sorry.
year the way he. Yeah, come on
This is
now. It's got to be more than that.
No, no, no. Brady's got 89,214 and Mahomes has 28,224,
There
so
you go.
60,000.
60,000.
60,000.
That's
60,000. Yeah.
that's not going to be easy. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
different.
my bad. Forgot forgot to carry the 0 there. 60,000 more passing yards. Um, he has 430 more passing touchdowns.
Yeah.
That's tough too. Like I said, he's got 7 Super Bowls, Mahomes has 3. Mahomes needs 9 more Pro Bowls, which he could get. He needs 3 more All Pros, 1 more MVP, 1 more Offensive Player of the Year, and 2 more Super Bowl MVPs to just be tied with Brady. So there's a long way to go. The one thing you have to do is stand out. That's what Mahomes has to do. He has to be able to do something that Brady's never done. So if they can get the three-peat, then hey, maybe without getting
Yeah.
every stat that Brady had, you can be in that conversation. You have to do something outside the box that no one's ever done before. So his only hope of being in the conversation to me is winning it next year. So they're going to have to go all in, as you could say. But if I'm being honest, I don't see it happening because Andy Reid's not going to be his coach his entire career.
Yeah.
Spagnuolo isn't a young coordinator either, so I don't know if he's sticking with the Chiefs forever. Um, Kelsey's getting a little bit up there. Um, is he? How old is Travis Kelsey?
Yeah, I don't think he's I thought he was more closer to Mahomes' age, but
He's third. No, he's 34. I mean, he's not a young dude.
wow.
Like,
Wow.
like
No,
he's not
he's
going to be there
yeah.
forever.
As a tight end, when you get above 35, that the things start slowing down tremendously. We saw that happen to Jason Witten, like he
Yeah,
just hit a brick wall. So yeah, he's older than I thought. And no wonder he's trying to settle down with this nice young lady that he's been dating. I don't know her
yeah,
name because I think she's kind of out of the spotlight, kind of tucked away in the corner. Yeah, he's getting up there in age. He's probably his biological clock is ticking. He's ready to
yeah.
settle down.
So I think, yeah, I mean, I think next year is their year, and I think everyone sticks around for that for next year and tries to do the three-peat. Um, That's something I wasn't really thinking about at first, and I was thinking that Andy Reid might walk away after this one, but I think he's gonna go for that three-peat and put his name in the history
Yeah,
books. I think Mahomes and all those guys are gonna do it. So they're gonna be back. They're gonna be
yeah.
guns blazing next year. I mean, they're gonna go
Well,
all in just like the Cowboys. So
what did
if the
I
Cow
keep telling you this year? They're Super Bowl champs till proven otherwise, and I ended up being right in the end, picking them over and over again because until they get knocked off the podium, they're the champs. So next year, if they're in the playoffs, man, I don't care if they're 9-8, 10 and
Yeah,
7. If they're in the playoffs, they've already showed you what they do when they get in the playoffs. They turn Mahomes loose. His rushing yards in his Super Bowl are kind of being tucked away, all he accomplished, but pull them rushing yards up. I believe he might have had 60 yards rushing, something like that. That was a huge factor. And he
yeah,
doesn't do that in
66.
the regular season. 66 yards rushing is huge for a quarterback in the Super Bowl. And he's not a running quarterback per se. He's a scrambling quarterback that can run when he needs to. In the regular
Yeah,
season, he's not running like that. So put him in the playoffs next year, and I'll be picking him every round, just like I would have this year. It's just like until somebody beats them, they're the champs, man, and they keep coming back. They're not. It's not like Mahomes retired and they're coming back as a champs. It's not like when Michael Jordan retired and the Bulls are coming back. They're the champs. Now they're going to be in last place. Mahomes is there. They're Super Bowl champs. Bet on them next year until somebody knocks them out.
yeah, we'll see. It'll be an interesting year, but they're definitely heading to try and do that repeat. So if the Cowboys are going to go all in and try and make it to the Super Bowl, there's a very good chance that the Chiefs will be there, and man, that would make for some good TV. But we will see. The Cowboys have a huge mountain to climb there, potentially the size of Everest. Let's talk about the 49ers real quick. So the 49ers, they lose the Super Bowl again. Now Kyle Shanahan is 0-2 in the Super Bowl as a head coach. He's 0-3 lifetime with that, horrible loss as the offensive coordinator in Atlanta, the 28-3 game. Not only is he 0-3 in the Super Bowl, but he's been outscored 74-29 in the second half as a coach in the Super Bowl. He's facing a lot of heat. Um, I think this is a huge positive for the Cowboys. And when you look at the NFC for um, the Niners to go there and lose and kind of give up a lead the way they did, now they fired their defensive coordinator. They're kind of questioning Shanahan's ability to get it done in the biggest game. I mean, I think they're going to be back and they're going to be good next year, but there's going to be some doubts in that locker room and in the organization. So I thought that was a big. If you could take positives away for the Cowboys, I think that's a positive. Is that the 49ers made it there, but they lost, and now there's some questions in that organization if they can really get it done. Do you agree with that?
And the thing is, you know, Kittle of all people, needs to come up and be accountable. And the scapegoat is their defensive coordinator is wrong what they did. It's wrong how they and I don't know what their plan is, man. We just went through it. We've been criticized for waiting too long to hire a defensive coordinator. These guys just fired their defense coordinator after the Super Bowl. They had one of the best defenses in the league, if not the best, going into the Super Bowl, and they fire the guy. I think what's lacking in San Francisco is a quarterback. Purdy is a
Yeah,
good quarterback. Purdy is not a Super Bowl championship level quarterback. You put him against Patrick Mahomes, I'm betting on Mahomes every single time. He is Mr. Irrelevant for a reason. He is not the guy to lead your team to Super Bowl championships. Can he win one? Yes, because of their defense, and Christian McCaffrey is why they would win one. But going back to Kittle, you want to have that cowboy stuff written on your shirt in the regular season before the midseason, and you show up to Super Bowl, you got 2 catches and 4 yards, and it couldn't happen to a better person in my book. Um,
yeah.
I
You
don't
guys
hate
scumbag.
I don't hate the Niners as much as a lot of Cowboys fans do, but there's always somebody on the Niners that I strongly dislike, and Mr. Kibble and Bits, excuse me, Kittle and Bits, you are the guy that I point to and say, I'm glad y'all lost because of you and your antics before. Why not just play football at the end of the season, pull up your shirt and let's see what's written on your shirt when you won the Super Bowl at the end of the year. Whatever week that was, they played down. It was like week 5 or 6 or something crazy like that. And the guy's acting like he won something. So good riddance to him. But I think the Niners have a problem, and I think coaching is a huge problem because they named a scapegoat. They fired their defense coordinator. It's shocking. What a shocking development. If that happened in Dallas, man, we would never hear the end of it. Firing a guy after the Super Bowl like that. I don't know what they're going to do. I'm not sure what's going on with Shanahan. I think obviously he's a good coach. He keeps getting his team there, but why can't he get him over the edge? I mean, we saw this in the 90s. The NFC would win whoever the AFC threw up. I mean, the Giants won, the Skins won, Dallas won 2 in a row, the Niners won one, and then Dallas won again. The AFC didn't have a chance. They kept throwing the Bills out there. Maybe the Niners are the new Bills. They're just not better than the top 4 or 5 teams in the AFC. Maybe it's a conference issue more than anything. But
I think that's very possible.
yeah, I think the talent level just might be. I mean, Baltimore, Buffalo, Kansas City, maybe all those teams are better than Dallas, Green Bay, the Niners. I wouldn't even put the Eagles up there after their collapse, but you would put them up there in midseason. Maybe there's 4 or 5 teams in the AFC better than our top team in the NFC, and that's what we're seeing. So I think the Niners jumped the gun firing their coordinator. I think they just can't match talent for talent. A quarterback is it. You see a game manager win a quarterback every generation, but you don't see it on a consistent basis. The best quarterback usually wins that game. Pat Mahomes is a better quarterback tenfold over Purdy, right? I mean, nobody's going to argue that.
Yeah, the biggest discrepancy between the AFC and NFC is quarterbacks, and it's not even close. You have Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. Joe Burrow and Aaron Rodgers coming out next year as quarterbacks in the AFC, where your top quarterbacks in the NFC are Dak, Brock Purdy, Jalen Hurts, and who else? That's what's not even close. So yeah, the AFC is a gauntlet, and it's gonna be like that for a while. So yeah, it's gonna be tough to get for the NFC to get over that hump, and that might not happen for a while. I think that's a good news. It's good news for the Cowboys because I think the NFC is winnable if they can get over the hump. But I mean, hell, I really don't care. Like if the Cowboys are to go to the Super Bowl next year and lose, like they just need to get back in winning NFC titles again. So it is what it is. But it's just hard to beat. I mean, Shanahan's lost to Mahomes twice, and then Tom Brady. So you can fault the guy all you want. I don't think he has the team that the Chiefs have. Um,
No, yeah, that's why I don't. I'm not a Shanahan fan. I can't stand just the look at the guy's face. It projects douchebag to me, but he's a genius done and how he runs the offense. Maybe he needs to work a little bit on making adjustments, but I just think and I think Purdy's amazing. I can't help but like the guy, and everything he does and stands for is all positive, but he is Mr. Irrelevant. He was the last guy chosen in the draft. I mean, he's not going to be, in my opinion, a Hall of Fame quarterback. He doesn't have that
yeah,
talent level. He's an overachiever. The fact that he got his team into overtime in the Super Bowl is amazing. But I still think you go back and you say, who's a better quarterback in this playoff game or Super Bowl in this case, and you pick the better quarterback. And that's not it. I don't know. I mean, I don't think the Niners move on from him. Don't get me wrong. I think you keep developing him and try to make him better. He's not there right now. I don't think he will be. I don't think they're going to win a Super Bowl with him. That's my hope and my prediction both.
yeah, I agree. So hey, you know, Super Bowl 58 is wrapped up. The NFL season's wrapped up. A lot of uncertainty in the NFC and um, I would say a lot of certainty in the AFC where you have the top dogs with the Chiefs, but you have four or five teams behind them that are capable of beating them. So it's gonna be interesting
Yeah.
next year.
And
Really
I
tough
think
race against.
The Bengals are being swept under the rug. People are forgetting
Yeah,
how
I would
young
agree.
and good that team is when they didn't have the injuries they had this year. Wait till they get healthy and they come back next year. Man, Joe Burrow, he's a guy, man. Joe Burrow. I'm not betting against him too often. And I think isn't he 2-0 against Mahomes or something like that in the playoffs? I mean, or at least he was at one point. He was. That guy can play. So watch the Bengals creep back in the mix. And again, you might have 4 or 5 teams better in the AFC than any NFC team next year. But look, you get to the game like the Niners just showed you. You get to the game and they're in overtime. In fact, the Chiefs had a fourth down in overtime. They
Yeah,
had to convert on a fourth down. Think about that. People forget that the Niners were one play away from winning that game. Straight up, not an exaggeration, one play, like literally fourth down. Anything happens, fumble, snap, somebody slips, anything happens on that play, and the Niners are Super Bowl champ. We're talking about Brock Purdy being the Super Bowl champ right now. Instead, we're talking about how they can't win the big one. That's how it bounces sometimes. But the Chiefs, I don't think they're lucky. I think they made their own luck. They got smart coach, great game plan, and they got Mahomes. Who do they go to on fourth down in the Super Bowl in overtime? Who's going to carry that ball? Patrick Mahomes. Brilliant. Andy Reid, brilliant.
yeah, and he was able to do that because you know, everyone's focused on Kelsey. So a lot of it is Travis Kelsey at the end of the day. So he's a stud. You say what you want about him. Travis Kelsey's like one of to me, he's the biggest impact other than like non-quarterback impact players in the league on offense is Travis Kelsey. I mean, that guy is unbelievable, and he stepped up in the playoffs when it mattered the most. So there's no secret to winning playoff football. You run the ball well. You have a weapon at tight end. your quarterback can scramble a little bit, you play good defense, you win playoff games. That's the formula, like we said over and over again for the Cowboys. So, Cowboy Reg, if you were to give the Cowboys a grade A through F, because this is to wrap up the 2023 season, and we're going to bury it and we're going to move on and talk nothing but the future in these next episodes. So this is our last time to really think back. Um, if you were to give the Cowboys a grade for the 2023-2024 season, what would you give them and why?
I'm giving them a B minus. Anytime you win that division, you win 12 games, you're an above average team. So you cannot give them a C or lower. They are above average. They won the NFC East. They did not win the NFC East in commander style of 8-9. They won it at 12-5. They hosted a playoff game and they got shellacked. So that's where they dropped from an A to a B minus. Or maybe maybe if they win that one playoff game, I give them a B. If they get to the NFC Championship, I give them a B plus. You get to the Super Bowl, I'll give you A. You win the Super Bowl, you get an A plus. They're getting a B minus for the regular season work. Hell of a season. I enjoyed it. The fact that they came back from 2 or 3 games out of first, and everybody had penciled Philly into the Super Bowl. The fact they came back and won that division, you got to give them some credit. So I'm going with the B minus.
Okay, that's pretty generous.
Yeah.
S- but I get what you're saying there. So to me, yeah, the regular season is probably a B plus, I would say. I wouldn't give the I don't know, it's tough. I don't give the regular season an A because it really took Philly blowing it more than the Cowboys earning
No,
it.
you got
In
to be
my
the one seed. You get it. You get the one seed. You get an A. You weren't the one
Yeah.
seed, so can't give them an A.
Yeah, so you give it I say it's a solid B plus for the regular season. And then I
Mhm.
mean, and I've been here before. You're doing well in your class. You have like an 89, 88 in your class, and then there's no you don't have any potential, route to failing the class, but the final is worth 40, 50% of your grade, and you go in and you take your final exam and you bomb it. You get, you know,
Yeah,
like a not just a F, but like a bad F, like a 40%.
yeah.
And that's going to bring that brings
That's yeah.
that brings your grade down to me to a C minus. I think they did well enough in the regular season to avoid a D, but I'm giving the Cowboys a C minus on the season because, you had a B plus going in, but you completely bombed the final. Not only did you lose a playoff game that you should never lose, but you got completely blown out. So C minus to the Cowboys this year. Very disappointed. I've seen years where you miss the playoffs and you have a better grade than a C minus. So I think if you overachieve and just miss the playoffs and go 9-8 or 8-8 back in the day with Jason Garrett, I give those teams more of a C or potentially C plus than I give this team. So pretty disappointed um, in the Cowboys season because nothing that you did that really matters when you perform like that in the playoffs to me. Yeah, it was fun to come back and win the NFC East, but it was so despicable what they did in the playoffs that, I just I can't ignore it. So, but yeah, B minus,
Yeah,
C
fair enough.
minus.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just rough.
I mean,
But
I get it. I think you're putting a little too much emphasis on that one game because the question is the whole season. What grade are you giving them? You want me to ask a playoff grade? I'm giving them an F. That's a playoff
right,
grade.
but
But
like
yeah,
I said,
I
if you bomb your
see what
final,
you're
like
saying.
you're not going to keep your B because that's like
Yeah.
40% of your overall grade, if not more. So, ugh, it's tough. But yeah, yeah. Takeaways from the 2023 season. I mean, we've touched on this a lot, but hey, it was a great regular season. Um, Great comeback to win the NFC East at the end, but we just really blew it when it really mattered. And like we said, we gotta tighten up the little things and tighten up on defense and a little, our hope right now is that Mike Zimmer is going to be that guy that comes in and fixes those small tweaks on defense. he's came out in the news recently since he's been officially hired, saying that he's not coming in to reinvent the wheel. He's going to make some minor changes, and those things are discipline, accountability, and stopping the run. That those are his focuses. So I think that's awesome. I'm really excited to see what Mike Zimmer does to this defense. He wants to be in Dallas. He's quoted saying that he's always loved Dallas. He's loved the Cowboys. He didn't know if he would be back, but he always hoped he would be. Um, he had some other interviews and people that he was teams that were interested in him, but he really wanted to be in Dallas. I think that's a huge positive. Um, I'm excited for the Mike Zimmer era and in this offseason to talk all about what the Cowboys' options are to improve their season. But I think coaching wise, we're in a good spot. And of course, Al Harris is coming back, and most of our other defensive coaches have left, but Al Harris is back. We're going to keep you up to date with any um, new hires that the Cowboys make within these next few weeks on the defensive side of the ball. But I think the team is pointing in a positive direction. Hopefully, they work really hard in the offseason and they're hungry and they want to get better, you know, graded than on the Sons of the Star podcast than a C minus. So if you're listening out there, Cowboys players, you gotta pick those grades up. Gotta you gotta do what I did. You go from academic probation to dean's list in college. It can be done. It can be done.
Yeah, and Zimmer, we talked about it the whole show last week, and first of all, if you're not following us on X or Twitter, and you're on Spotify right now, so you cannot see the screen, we are at Sons of Star Pod, and I am at Cowboy underscore Reg. That's RE the double G. Got to get the double G. But I tweeted out at 6 p.m. tonight, touching on Mike Zimmer. I caught it online and I quoted it. Hall of Fame coach Bill Parcells was asked about Zimmer. Well, this is what he said. He's himself. Um, that's what people that get along with players are. They don't say you have to get along, but players respect people that are straightforward, to get to the point and try to help them get better. He's the best with them. And the ones that don't like the truth are probably going to have a problem. So, I mean, you're bringing in a disciplined guy. Bill Parcells is vouching for the guy right now. Our playoff disaster is, in my opinion, lack of discipline. Most experts are saying the same thing. We got D Law coming out. I love D Law, huge fan. Oh, we were burned out at the end of the year. We're burned out.
Mm.
We got we got CD on the sideline after the first series, needs to be consoled by McCarthy, Dax yelling at him. We got all these things going on. We need coach like Zimmer, and Bill Parcells is vouching for him. So that's exciting. That's what we got to look forward to, guys. We got to look forward to a new attitude with the same talent. This talent, make sure they're playing with a chip on the shoulder. Make sure that somebody holds them accountable. That defense, when they give up a score and they're playing soft zone and they're not tackling or not stopping the run, they walk to the sideline. You can look at these clips. There's highlight clips out there. Zimmer will be waiting for you, and you're going to hear it. And if you want to talk back, that's fine. You're not going back in the game. That's what kind of guy he is. So I think that's exactly what we need.
And you think he's going to be on the sideline, or do you think he's going to be up in the box?
I think he's going to be on the sideline, but I
He's
have
always been that
no,
guy. I hope
yeah,
so. I hope.
yeah, I haven't seen any interviews or quotes saying one way or the other, but
Yeah, we'll talk
I
about
have
that in
a
the offseason.
strong, yeah, I have a strong feeling that that's one of the changes that we're going to make. Is we're going to get the coach on the sideline. I like that. That's where he should
I
be.
hope so. Yeah. Um, yeah, having him and Al Harris on the same sideline with the guys, I think that's a big, for morale at least, that's a big thing and a step in the positive direction. So, yeah, that's what we have to look forward to. A lot to talk about in this offseason. We will be back here, weekly to talk all Cowboys news, and hopefully we have a full look at what the coaching staff looks like, and we can start getting into some free agents signings. I believe in March is when guys officially become free agents. So within the next few weeks, we can actually talk about what's going on, and we could start getting into some of that news. But the 2023-2024 season is over. Our Cowboys have disappointed us again, but it was a pretty good it was a pretty good year of NFL football. Um, but we had some fun during the year. We had some positive moments, and we had the play of the year. So hey, that was fun. Um, but we are NFC East champions, and we're going to be back. This is a good team, and some good things are coming down the pipe. I truly believe it. So hey, hang in there in this dark times, this off season with no football. We're going to get through it together, and we're going to have a lot of fun stuff to talk about. So stay involved with Sons of the Star podcast. Like Cowboy Reg said, hit us up on X, ask us some questions, or comment on our YouTube videos, whatever you want to do. But we love for to have you involved in our show. That just makes it fun for everybody and bring in some interesting topics like we had today that we could talk about. So, any parting shots, Cowboy Reg, before we sign off today?
We a lot of you may not know this. We just popped up on Super Bowl Sunday, did a little live cast, and I don't know if we reshared that, but I'll reshare our live Super Bowl pregame show if any of you want to catch it. We're gonna what we covered was all five of the Cowboys Super Bowls. We covered who the MVP was. We talked a little bit about the stats, what the final score was. We go through the dates, everything. So you're a Cowboys fan, you'd like that pregame show because we're going to talk about our glory years all the way from the 70s through the 90s. We talk a little bit about the game, but what we predicted is exactly what happened. So that's not the part you want to go back. You probably want to go back and listen to the five Cowboys Super Bowl recaps. That was fun. So if we get opportunity this week, let's share that for our listeners and let them hear that. We had a good time doing our first live show.
Yeah, we're gonna do some more of that fun stuff, and we're really gonna ramp up again. You know, we're gonna find stuff to talk about, but really towards the draft is when we're gonna ramp up again and probably do some live shows, and we're gonna be on Cowboys Can Fan, for the draft live show. I think I mentioned that last week podcast, maybe I didn't, but exciting times
You
coming in the
mentioned
Sons of the
you
Star.
mentioned something was coming down, but you did not tell
Yeah,
everyone that it was Cowboys can fan. So yep, you just let the cat out of the bag, and we're
yeah.
excited about that. Those boys are great. Can't wait to be on their show.
Yeah, so we're getting involved more in Cowboys Nation, and all our listeners out there it is why we're able to do some of that stuff. So we're starting to get some, our brand out there, and that's what this off season is for. And we're super excited. Like I said, so be a part of our podcast. The more you hit us up, and uh, we'll have you on
Yeah,
the
I hit
show,
a
and you can.
I texted you earlier today. I hit 1,000 on my X account today, 1,000 followers. Cowboy underscore Reg with the double G. I'm just here to post facts about the boys and other teams and topics that we talk about here on the show. I want to promote the show. I want to talk about the show, and I've always post our recap videos. So our Twitter account, our X Nation, is growing rapidly. One of the things that I've tried to do is make an effort to reach out to other fan bases. We got Eagles fans in there. We got Browns fans in there. We got Steelers fans in there. We got Giants fans in there. We're getting all kinds of comments, and we keep it civil. If it's not civil, we'll get rid of that follower. We're not here to toss insults at each other, but we discuss the league and what's going on, and in potential trades and free agents, coaching changes. I got a Commanders uh, ex-friend on there that we go back and forth about our teams. And as soon as we hired Zimmer, his first message to me was great hire. Great hire. You guys made the right move not going with Rivera. So I'm making an effort to get more fan bases involved in our show, not to trash talk them or trash talk us, but to just give us some information. What are you guys feeling over there? What do you think about this guy? What are you hearing over there? What guy's going to be up on the trading block? So, we're just trying to expand, like you said, expand the brand, get our show out there, and everybody's welcome. Look at the questions we got tonight from other fan bases. That's what I'm talking about. Love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Hell yeah, Cowboy Reg. Uh, Cowboy Reg is working hard out there, doing a lot of work. And like I said, we're gonna do some fun stuff in the off season, and we want this to be a community of fans where you feel involved with the show. So you hit us up, you tweet us anytime during the week. We're gonna talk about your comments and your questions. And like I said, we're gonna try to have some good guests on the show in the future, and we're gonna be a guest on some of the more popular Cowboys podcasts out there. So really happy that y'all could join us today. And as always, thank you for listening to Sons of the Star. And hit us up with questions on Twitter. Give us a rating, um, 5 stars of Spotify if you can, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. But we will be back again next week with another episode of Sons of the Star. Y'all have a good night. Um, this is the end of the 2023-2024 season. That is it, folks. We're going to wrap it up, put a bow on it, and we will be back next year and winning the Super Bowl. Of course, we got all the hope in the world, baby. That's what we live for. We're ready to get hurt
Full
again. So,
confidence. Yeah.
yeah, we got nothing to lose. We're going all in. 1, 2, 3, all in. Like
All
I
in,
said,
baby.
thanks again for listening to Sons of Star. I'm your host, Dallas. Signing off is my co-host, Cowboy Reg. Have a good night. Go Cowboys.
Go Cowboys.